This lining is 50% wool, 50% alpaca. So riddle me this, why does the world's largest and most powerful navy during the world's largest and deadliest war switch to this little guy from their woolen fortress of a coat that we all know and love, the Peacoat? What gives? This fabric is pretty sick, and it sucks that we don't really use it anymore in the 21st century, but it had a very weird job. One of the jobs obviously was to protect you, keep the wind out and stuff like that, but the other job was to make sure that you don't get trapped inside of your jacket if you're getting covered with freezing salt water all day. This is a rudimentary thermal testing system I made so we can check just how warm this museum-grade replica of a World War II Navy deck jacket actually is. What was the US Navy outfitting their Navy personnel in the wettest, wildest, coldest, craziest conditions out there? I'm curious. The true question is, how good was the N1 deck jacket actually? People go Google Gaga about this in modern days. Everybody that wears big, heavy boots and heavy jeans, they have one of these jackets. I have 3 now, so I'm no better, but how good are they actually? And I want to compare it to what we're seeing today, which is luxury versions of the same jacket. This is a $1,500 jacket. I didn't pay that much for it. Well, it's at $1,300. I'm wearing right now what is probably considered to be the greatest interpretation of the N1 deck jacket in history. This is by Dehen 1920. This is a legendary jacket. I got it for an insane deal on eBay. Thank you, Patrick. Like taking candy from a baby. This is kind of the king until, well, not until. I got a message from a brand called Heatstrap, and they said, hey, you have to try ours out. It weighs 7 pounds, probably double the weight of this one. And I just got it. It just does things like this. It's not like precariously placed on anything. It's just that big of a jacket. How warm is it actually? This video is sponsored by Reason Labs Online Security and Identity Theft Protection Extension. Oh, new email. Go on this website. Oh.
Michael, wait.
Is that you? Reason Labs Online Security and Identity Theft Protection Extension?
Yes. Don't go on that website, Michael.
But it says I'll be cool like Tim
You're
DeSaint.
nothing like Tim DeSaint. You can't even maintain a weekly upload schedule on YouTube.
Well, it doesn't even seem like it's on script.
But 500,000 people a year are victims of credit card scams. 24 million people are victims of identity theft. People go on dangerous websites all the time by accident. And you, for some reason, always click allow desktop notifications from websites.
I just want to be alerted about important product updates.
Stop doing that. That's why I'm here. To protect your browsing and make you more like Tim DeSaint.
He doesn't fall victim to scams.
No, Michael. He's too smart for that. And now you are too. Check out the link in Michael's description to learn more about me. Reason Labs Online Security and Identity Theft Protection Extension.
Wow. Thanks, Reason Labs Online Security and Identity Theft Protection Extension.
What's poppin', everybody? It's young Mikey back with another video. Still in Maine. I live here. We're on the Moose Trail today. Hope everybody's doing well. Real quick, this is the Real McCoy's N1 deck jacket, loaned to me by Standard & Strange. Very cool shop with selling peculiar and oddity clothing. The reason we needed this specific N1 deck jacket, also could have been probably Buzz Rickson as well, is because the Real McCoys and Buzz Rickson make some of the most period accurate pieces that you can possibly get. We're looking for that pile because it's a very specialty pile. It is 50% alpaca, 50% wool, and it's supposed to have magical warming properties. The pile on this jacket is mouton, and it's 3 times higher than what we're seeing on the Real McCoys and the Buzz Rickson's jacket. So is it still the same warmth because of the alpaca? Am I saying alpaca wrong? It sounds today it doesn't. Well, we'll find out in the comments. So you already know about my rudimentary thermal testing station, but let me explain the actual methodology behind it and know that don't take these numbers to heart. Huge margin for error. Hopefully not huge enough to totally throw out the results here, but still, there is. Either way, the rudimentary thermal testing kit is as follows. First thing you need, infrared thermometer. Second thing you'll need is a reptile heating pad. Taylor kept trying to steal it and put her feet on top of it. I placed a heating pad on the ground and put this little temperature gauge on it to let this machine know how hot it should be heated up till. That temperature was 98.6 degrees. Then I placed a jacket on top of it and saw how long it took to heat to 98.6 degrees, and then took the temperature of the outside of the jacket after 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and took the averages and got some numbers. The jacket temperature without the heating pad that I tested a few times in a few different locations, 66 degrees. After the heating pad was placed under it for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, so on and so forth, the average temperature was 81 degrees, meaning there was a change of 15 degrees on the outside. The lower that number, the better insulator the jacket is. Real McCoys did. Okay, so the huge question that everybody's been asking me constantly, they won't leave me alone, people coming up to my door, excuse me sir, why did they switch from the Peacoat to the N1 deck jacket? The Peacoat is very beautiful, but it's incredibly heavy, it's hard to maneuver in compared to something like the N1 deck jacket, it's hard to put on, it's hard to take off, and it's just stiff, although you do look like $1 million in it. So the US Navy bids adieu to their Peacoat. Instead, they made the deck zip jacket. It was based off of the US Army's combat winter jacket. I might be getting the name not perfect, but it was based off that because people in the Army really liked their jackets. They were nice and warm, and they basically had a Peacoat fabric inside of them. But when you were on the cold seas, the jacket didn't really make the cut because it had a lot of issues, namely here, and here. One of the biggest issues that Navy personnel was facing was that they were either getting trapped inside of their jacket or trapped outside of their jacket. Both of those not good. The immediate problem was that if you're getting covered with salt spray, the salt spray freezes in your zipper and you can't zip it up or you can't unzip it after if you need to take it off, if you're overheating. The second thing is the base of World War II zippers were brass and they corroded in salt water, and when they were getting sprayed, they broke, which obviously sucks for the person that is wearing the jacket and wants to be warm or take the jacket off because they're too warm. But at the same time, if you're the US military, you're thinking, wow, this is very expensive. We have a lot of jackets that need to be repaired constantly because they're all breaking. So the main thing that the Navy tackled first was just the zipper in general. So they said, okay, what profession wears big gloves, has a big coat, and needs to put it on and take it off very quickly? Accountants. Weirdly enough, accountants in the 1940s wore huge accounting jackets and also leather accounting gloves while they did your taxes. And on the side of them, so they could take them off quickly and easily when they were done with your taxes, they put hooks on the side. So the US Navy said, hey, accountants, can we borrow that technology? And they said, absolutely. So the US Navy made the deck hook jacket, which is an interesting system because typically you have a jacket and you have two pieces of fabric, both sides of the jacket, secured by a zipper. The deck jacket worked like this. You had fabric on this side in a C shape and fabric on this side that was just kind of a flat shape. And they came together like this, so your jacket could resist the elements. And when you wore it, obviously it looked like that. They secured all of that with those accounting hooks up on the side. This version of the jacket was good, but still not 100% perfect, just for the fact that there's still metal on the outside, so you still have the same base issue. But also, there were some other problems on the jacket, one of them being the exposed storm cuffs were getting caught on things that sailors were trying to move and stuff, so that would also rip the jacket, be inconvenient, could be very dangerous as well. Also, did I do that thing where I say accountant again instead of firefighter? It happens all the time. You would not believe who I called when my fire alarm went off. So the US Navy looked at the zip jacket, they looked at the hook jacket, and they said, okay, got it. We know it works now. So the first thing that we need to actually focus on is the fabric of the N1 deck jacket. Grosgrain is like the kind of category. Bedford cord falls into there. Also jungle cloth, because jungle cloth is a type of Bedford cord. They're all kind of like classification systems. They're all kind of cousins, I guess I should say. That's a little bit better way of putting it. Essentially, what you can do is think of a plain weave as just very boring. It's very plain. That's why it's called that. Just up and down, very easygoing, chill. Think of the grosgrain family as basically a plain weave. It depends on the specific fabric we're talking about, of course. But instead of this yarn and this yarn being the same size, this one's big, beefy, daddy one. So when it goes over, it creates an actual rib. And sometimes you could add more yarns to make it thicker and stuff like that. But that thicker yarn is what gives us a lot of texture and a lot more durability. And by having a lot of those yarns very close together, we get a very tough, beefy fabric. So there's two main things that we need to fix. Number one, storm cuffs are still getting caught on everything. It's great along the hem. We have all of this knit fabric that will keep the cold air from coming in, but it's kind of getting destroyed at all times. So the first thing we can do with the storm cuffs is simply pull the fabric over the storm cuffs, extend that fabric so they're protected, but they're still there, keeping the cold out. The second thing though was the closure system. The answer was never a one system closure system. What I really like about this update again is that you could see how the designers were thinking. The first two times they were thinking, what is that one solution that will fix it? But the third time they thought to themselves, perhaps instead of there being one fix-all solution, we need to break the solution up. So we have the zipper that closes the jacket, but then we need to protect the zipper with a placket on the outside, and that placket cannot be secured with metal or else it will corrode and it's harder to repair. It can be secured with a button, and if a button pops off, we can sew it back on, easy peasy, it's gone, it's done, it's fixed. The zip jacket and the deck jacket that basically had a Peacoat fabric inside of them, I would like to sit right here, but I can't. Basically, the zip jacket and the hook jacket both had, it's not Peacoat fabric because it's very, very heavily brushed by these big metal hooks that pull the fabric out and they make it fluffy, because when it's fluffy, you have some better insulation properties. A big encompassing thing of all of this is loft. So you can brush a woven fabric and get some decent loft, think of like a flannel. Or you can do what you see on sweatshirts a lot, is you have a terry knit, you burst all of those loops and it fluffs up and makes a fleece. Or you can use an animal skin that has fur on it, aka mouton, and you have a fleece there. And finally, you can do what they're doing on the Real McCoy's deck jacket, which is sliver knitting. With sliver knitting, essentially picture someone knitting like a very, very tight fabric, like a t-shirt fabric, for example. And as those loops are being formed and pulled, someone is on the side shoving little fibers into them, slivers. Shoving them in there. As the loop tightens, it grafts around that sliver. And when you put that all together, and you do that a lot, that t-shirt fabric has all these things coming out of it, and bing, bang, boom, that is a pile, and that's what you're seeing on the Real McCoys. And you could see there's usually a mesh backing that stabilizes everything also put on there. You could see that mesh backing through it. You may have noticed that alpaca is getting, I feel like, more and more popular every day. It's in t-shirts, it's in pants, it's in jackets, it's everywhere for a bunch of different reasons, but the big reason that we're focusing on today, and the main reason, is that it's an incredible insulator. There's two things you really need to focus on with fibers when we're talking about pure insulation properties. One, how fine is the fiber? And two, is it hollow? Alpaca is fine and hollow, so it's very, very warm, which means that your coat or your jacket or whatever it may be can be warmer without a lot of added weight. Like this jacket is 3 times thicker than the Real McCoy's. Well, we'll get to warmth in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself here, sorry. I think it's time we transition to the big mama, the Heat Straps N1 deck jacket, their interpretation of it. Big thing that you need to know is that these pockets are double lined. There is lining inside of the pockets and on the jacket. Oof, I could feel the heat in this jacket. Classic Heat Straps build. I look like I could tackle a truck right now. This is 24-ounce canvas, so that is, it's 2.5 times heavier canvas on the outer than the Dehen. I will say it feels a lot warmer, and I think that's because the inside here, instead of being just the fleece fabric that's inside Dehen, nothing wrong with that. I was very warm all day. This is a quilted wool batting, so we have a little bit more loft, and it's a slightly different build. Okay, so this final section is really just a bunch of cool little rapid fire fun facts that I think you would like because I really like them. The first one is that I think Ironheart might be the only brand that does this intentionally. Some brands may do it by accident with fusing or something, but they have an interliner on their jacket. A very tightly woven fabric between the outer body fabric and the actual insulation layer on the inside to further stop the wind. That's what we're doing with the Mammoth. We're using another layer of wool in between so you get more warmth. As I was saying before, the N1 was an entire system. The deck jacket is just what got really popular, but there were big pants that had suspenders on them and everything like that. I think there was also a bib as well. Those loops were placed here and here so you could secure the suspenders to your jacket so they wouldn't fall down as you're running around. And also, your pants had little flaps that you could wrap around the inside loops. From my research, that is the best I could find. It was very hard to find an answer for that. Okay, so bing, bang, boom, put everything together, and the birth of an icon is here. The N1 deck jacket. Everybody's loving it, and then nylon gets really popular, and the US Navy is like, oh, we'll just use that. Okay, and finally, the Warmth Championship. What is the warmest jacket that I have worn today? Obviously, it's this one. This is Fjallraven, subject of the co-star of next video. We have an even bigger jacket from Fjallraven. But the change in temperature of the outside of the jacket when I put the reptile heater in, this is why I need a water bottle, was basically nothing. It basically didn't change at all. In second to last place, I wanted to test something that wasn't an N1 deck jacket, just in case you wanted different suggestions. So I tested this 90s Levi's Sherpa jacket that I gave to Taylor when I first met her in college, and I wrote her a little love note on the inside, which she still has. How cute is that? Either way, the Levi's denim Sherpa jacket was actually warmer than the Real McCoy's jacket, just by a degree, so again, still within the margin of error, but a change, oh, it's 2 degrees, sorry, change of 13 degrees in total. That being said, something we need to touch on at the end, but before that, Dehen, 1920, is who comes in third to last. Dehen's change in temperature was 11 degrees. And then finally, the warmest jacket that we tested today is Heat Straps. They came in with 10 degrees. In reality, the big thing that matters is the actual design of the jacket with the materials being used. So the Real McCoy's is warmer than the Levi's Sherpa jacket just because of the storm cuffs alone. It's longer, it seals out the wind, there's a bunch of different factors. Okie dokie, that is just about my time. So I'm gonna go home, edit this video, have a big cup of hot chocolate, and I'll see you all next. I'm trying to post like 5 videos this week because we have a crazy sponsor. We're diving into the world of watches very soon. Either way, ta-ta. Oops.